good morning everybody. Welcome to another round of coffee and questions. And so what's today's topic? I want to talk about D-rings. I watched a couple of videos and I thought I could give you some helpful tips and some bargains, possibly, if you're using D-rings. Now, I use D-rings. I use them a lot. If I find trailers inexpensively, I fix them up and flip them, and I've done it about 5, 6, 7 times now, I don't know. It's whenever I run across that good of a deal. But the D-rings that I use are the ones that I get out at Harbor Freight. Now, we debated this around on the forum, and I watched some videos on other people that have done commentaries like on D-rings, and there's 2 different types. There's ones that you can buy that are actually weld-on D-rings, and they're real good because that arch that they have where the ring sits in, it's pretty nice and deep, and so the ring flops around real easy, and they're meant to be welded on. There are no bolt holes. Now you can buy other ones that have bolt holes, and you can use it either way. You can still weld them on, or you can drill holes and you can bolt them down, and they work really well. It just depends on your application and how you're going to use them. Okay, now I'm going to show you a picture here in just a sec. I'll put it up on some that you can buy off Amazon. Those are the weld-on ones, and I've bought those before off Amazon, and they're really good steel D-rings. Nothing wrong with them. The other ones that I get, and I get them either when they're on sale, the 20% coupon or better, the ones out at Harbor Freight. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I consider these D-rings a 5-star product, and so I have read through the reviews and listened to the people on the forum about what the criticisms are about the D-rings, and I'm going to address those in just a second. Let me show you that hump where the ring sits in there. If you tighten it down with bolts too tight, the D-ring doesn't want to flop around and move freely on you. It almost like anchors it there. And one guy put it in a vise I was reading, which is a good idea, I suppose. I don't know if he heated it up or not. Tightened up the vise real hard and banged on it and created a larger arc. Okay, yeah, you can do that way. The other way, and I've done it, where some other readers had commented, is to create like a spacer, like right below it with washers. I do that, and somebody says, well, that messes with the integrity. No, it doesn't, because I'm going through that and through the actual bed of the trailer into a piece of 1/4-inch steel. And if it's ones in the front where I believe an automobile is going to be tied down to or something like that, after I go through that and bolting it down, and then I weld it all the way around, like I said, with the 2-pass technique or thing that I told you, and it's going to more than add strength. It's overkill, yes, who cares? I don't. I know that it's incredibly safe at that point. So it's just my point of view. But that's what you can do to solve that problem of the hump in the D-ring. If it tightens down too much, these things are probably cast and made in bulk somewhere in China or wherever, and they're not careful about it, but they don't rust that easily. That's another thing I like about them. You can always put a protective coating on them. I do that on the trailers so that I never have to worry about them rusting, but I have some on another trailer I did where I didn't do that. They still look great. They're not rusting. So I think all the way around, price, for what you're getting, it's a good quality. I think it's one of the better things I've seen that Harbor Freight sells at a good price point. So that's how you can create, that's how you can repair or fix that hump in there that so many people worry about and bolting it down. Put it in the vise, tighten the hell out of it, see if you can increase that hump, that distance, or use some spacers, mainly washers. That's just my suggestion. You could use a piece of steel, cut it, drill a hole through it, and use it as a spacer or whatever. It depends on what you're fabricating and doing. So, I tend to do mine in overkill. Like I said, sometimes I bolt them in and weld them, If they're on the sides, sometimes I just bolt them on so that way if the customer is not sure, he can relocate them. And so I want to explain to you how I put them on. Now I'll use a piece of steel, 1/4 inch, let's say 1/4 inch. And I'll weld a plate, like if I'm welding it on one of these flatbed trailers, you know, that have, you know, that corrugated steel for the bed or anything like that, or even on the rail sometimes, I'll put a piece of 1/4 inch steel on the back and sometimes even on the front. It depends on if I'm bolting them or welding them, but let's say I'm welding them for a minute. I'll put a piece of 1/4 inch steel and I weld it to the underneath side, and then when that D-ring is on there, I'm going to come down and secure it to this by way of bolts. Or even if I'm welding, I mean, I will turn around and I'll add bolts to it sometimes because I want that increased added strength. It all depends on the application of what you're doing, but you can add steel, I mean, as a reinforcement so that you get that extra capacity in terms of poundage, I mean, out of it without it ripping out like the thin sheet metal, like right out of a truck bed, or if it happens to be some kind of thin sheet metal that's on the bottom of that trailer, which in my case sometimes that happens because of where I want to mount them. Now, another ideal thing is if you can actually drill through and go into the frame and secure it to the frame. Okay, that's ideal too. But remember, well, the way I look at this is two different types. There's the bolt-in ones and the weld-on ones. And like I said, sometimes the bolt-on ones, which I buy a lot of times because sometimes I'll change my mind and I want to bolt it, like on the side of a trailer, on the railing or something, for a particular customer or for a particular reason. Other times I want to weld it. So with the nice ones, or I consider them to be nice ones from out at Harbor Freight, I have my choice. Bolt them on or weld them on. Well, what's the downside? Well, make sure that you know where these are going to be, because once you weld them on, and especially, you know, if you weld it all the way around, you're not going to be able to get those off so easily without a lot of cutting, grinding, and so forth. And the other thing I was going to tell you, which I watched in one of the videos and I totally agree, if you have a D-ring, let's say I don't have one to show you except for the ones in the pictures. Let's say this is the plate on the D-ring. A lot of people will weld and stop at the corners, okay? That's going to create, this is where this thing's going to start to crack or where it's going to give. Try not to do that. Try to weld and keep welding, and maybe stop in the middle or somewhere if you have to, but don't stop on the ends. Make a complete weld all the way around. Now, I got that off of somebody else's video. That is an outstanding tip, and it will increase the strength of these beyond belief, you know, especially from tearing out or something. So I agreed with that person. I mean, 100%. I wish I would have put it in some of my past videos, but you know, I'm mentioning it now. So let's go over to the questions and answer part of this. What kind of bolts? People say they use galvanized and all this stuff. I use grade 8 bolts. They work fine, and they've got, a viewer even went to the extent when I was reading about it, they've got a 3,333 pound work limit to them. Okay, you know, that's fine, but I use grade 8. You know, I didn't realize the rest of the spec, but I added in the video for those of you that are curious about it. How am I welding them in there? Well, I use a MIG welder. Now, I have the Millermatic 211. You see it in a lot of my videos. And, you know, we've done some comparisons, you know, with the titanium and all this stuff on Justin Dow's channel. You can go there and check. But to answer your question directly, I use a MIG welder. You can use other welders, of course. It's just what I use. It's what I have. Don't use 110. Use 220, okay? Or at least bolt them in and use 110. 110 is not going to give you the strength in the weld that you really want structurally for something like this that can be tugging like thousands and thousands of pounds on it. And I'm talking about the Harbor Freight ones or the weld-on ones that you get off Amazon. Okay, now I'm going to get a lot of people to disagree with me and tell me I'm full of crap and that you can do it. I suppose maybe you can. I wouldn't. I would want the 220 power if I'm doing something structural, and it is kind of structural when you consider the force that's being put on it. So my advice is you use the 220. One of the comments is somebody saw in another video that using a round piece of plate steel as the base, like on the top before you weld the D-ring onto it, is you know, much better in terms of the distribution of force that's being put on that D-ring. Yeah, you're right, it is. I didn't mention that either, and a lot of times it's only because I have square steel, but I usually use 1/4 inch and I weld it all the way around on 4 sides. I think it's more than adequate in terms of strength, but yes, you're right. If that plate happened to be round, the distribution is enhanced. Yes, I agree with you. I don't know, I just read the comment in there that the galvanized are actually grade 3 or 4, but I don't use galvanized. No, I use good quality bolts when you're doing this stuff. I try to put the best quality stuff in everything that I do, and I don't skimp out. Try to put in the best quality stuff in everything that I do so that I know that the quality is there. And just my viewpoint. Would I use flux cord? No, I would not use flux cord. I would use shielded gas wire. There's no way I would use flux cord. Do I make multiple passes on my welds when I'm welding in you know, the D-rings? Yes. I don't know about multiple. I will make at least 2 good passes all the way around the D-ring. Like I said, I mean, it's just a matter of, well, I had somebody comment that's overkill. I would rather have it overkill. It's my preference. It's the way that I do it. It works for me. If it works for you differently, that's okay. You can drop a comment below and tell me that you disagree and how you do it. I think that's fine. I have a friend of mine, he does 3 passes. Okay, so I do 2, but I'm using a 220 MIG welder, and you know, I'm using 030 wire if I'm welding D-rings. And like I said, I've got 025, 030, 035. I could have used the 035, I use the 030, it's more than adequate, and I do 2 passes to answer your question. No, okay, so, you know, back to the price. I mean, the reason I tell you I think it's one of the better values out at Harbor Freight is for the price. I don't think you can beat it. I mean, you can look around online, look around at Amazon, look around at all these places. I don't think you're going to beat the price. I think it's a great product. I really do. I would use it a lot. It's a very heavy duty ring. And somebody said, well, I bought one and I didn't realize, you know, that it was so, you know, heavy duty. I mean, I don't need anything that heavy duty. Well, why'd you buy it? If you want something less, go to Home Depot, Lowe's. They make different size D-rings. I mean, they don't all come in the same specifications as in the picture I showed you. I don't remember if it was 1/2 inch or what it was at the moment while I'm talking. I look at it like this. Is it overkill? Yep. Do I care? Nope. And somebody said, well, why? And I go, because it doesn't matter. When I'm doing trailers, or if you're going to put it on an automobile, let it be overkill. It doesn't matter. And so they don't look that great, and I had to touch mine up with an angle grinder. Like I say in a lot of my videos, some of the stuff, you're not in a beauty contest. These are tools. These are products that work. This one really works. I mean, it does. I use it all the time. I would suggest it. I'm not seeing a whole lot of any other comments on here. I would definitely tell you, look at my links below. I'll put them right here at the end of the video. And take a look at the ones on Amazon. I don't put up eBay links, but because for the most part I buy off of Amazon, or I have a Harbor Freight store locally like a lot of you. Go out there, take a look. You got your coupon with you, you want to try a couple of these rings, snatch them up and try them. You're not going to be disappointed. They are heavy duty, they're great rings. I give 2 thumbs up to Harbor Freight on this one, no doubt. I want to thank you folks. I'm the Home Handyman. I hope you click subscribe. Keep following me. I will always throw up tips and bargains when I see them, and we will do projects together intermittently when I get time off of work. But drop me a comment and let me know what you think.